Okay, the recording's in progress. All right. Um, I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I guess I'm okay. I'm all right.
Huh. That was the only place you could get a signal?
No, it's not the signal, it's the room uh,
Oh.
where I could actually move a few feet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, this is where I was last time.
Oh, I didn't realize. I see.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. That's fine.
Is is Dave with us today?
I had hoped so. I think he's back, but he's not here. So I don't really know. I didn't have any word from him at all. So,
I'll tell you what, between the two of us, we're not very reliable. Well, at this point in our life, let's put it that way. At this point in our life,
well, what am I supposed to say to that?
nothing, nothing, just smile. You know, David, I watched our last session
Yeah.
and Jesus, help me. At the end of the session, I don't know if you noticed, but there's me scurrying away, pulling down my pants prior to getting onto the toilet.
No, no, I
David,
missed that.
I, I couldn't believe that that was on there.
Oh, I'm
I,
I'm sorry.
I'll give you $10 if you destroy that.
I think we should preserve it for historical reasons.
I'll tell you, I've got to get. I think I'm going to go when I get back. Look up my, I don't know, internal doctor
Yeah,
and see what I can do about this diarrhea because,
that's bad.
yeah, having it for 3 months is a long haul.
That's wrong.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, other than that, and actually, I've learned to. I haven't learned anything from it, but I'm tolerating it. I was gonna say I learned how to handle it, but no.
Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, yeah. We all do the best we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I sorry to say, I guess we are not going to have Mr. D with us today.
Okay. Have you heard from him?
No,
No.
no.
All right.
Um, I did see some things on Facebook from their trip while they were over there,
Oh,
um,
that's right. Yeah.
but I have no idea. Um, I I probably should have called him to remind him. He's I don't know.
Hey, David, forget it. There's only so much you can do.
That is very true.
Yeah.
So
All right.
let me
I
let me
gotta.
let me grab my ting shaw here.
Okay. Before we start, David, I can see me, of course, down in the corner, and I'm awfully squished. Is
Yeah, I don't know.
let me try a couple things here.
Yeah, you're very narrow. There's only about a third of your screen there.
Yeah. Now there isn't any, is there? Huh. Let's see. I wonder what would happen if I.
Ah, there you are.
That's better.
Yeah.
I'll be damned. All right. I'm ready to go.
All right. In that case, we'll go.
All right.
So, questions?
Um, no, I have to, of course, as usual, confess that I have not done too much. As a matter of fact, when I saw your note, I was wondering why you were a week early. And then I realized you weren't a week early. I was a week late or something.
You're just on vacation mind.
I'm afraid I am. Our son
That's
has
okay.
left.
That's what you should be.
Yeah, our son has left, so it's Gene and I again, and we're doing all right. We got this last week all to ourselves.
You've had company?
Yeah, our son Nate was here for 2 weeks,
Ah,
and it he's good to be with. He's real easy to be with, and so
that's
we had a
good.
good time. Yeah, yeah, and he's back. He's back in California, safe and sound. He
Oh, good.
got back before the airlines did anything foolish, and now he's looking for a job.
Gosh, so is our boy Dylan.
You know, I hate I hate to say it, but I'm not worried. I, you know, wherever the hell he ends up, they're going to be fortunate to have him. That's the way I look at it, and so I'm able to live with these times. As a matter of fact, a friend of his had taken a whole year off to work with the homeless between jobs. And he said that it was the best thing he ever did.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, as is your son, I'm sure that uh, mine is very talented, and they'll both end up with something worth their talents.
Well, I certainly hope so. Dylan also just had to move. His landlady refused to renew his lease, so he is temporarily homeless, but staying with friends.
Good, good. You know, David, it's a funny thing. All of my kids, at the drop of a hat, will take someone in.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to how many times after I was gone, how many times their mother kicked them out of the house and they had to stay with friends or whatever. And, you know, one of the kids has had a friend stay with them for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and until he got back on his feet. Um, he's a plumber, and I guess his girlfriend or whatever really dug him a hole, and so he was a basket case. But Tyler took him in, and of course, as it turns out, he blossomed. He's an uncle to the kids and Tyler's kids, and he's done very well. He got a job. He's moved right up with the job, and he's got his license, and he's in charge of this, and he's that, and he has a lovely girlfriend, and it
Cool.
all worked out. And but they
Yeah.
all, at one time or another, as a matter of fact, Nate, who was just here, this gal turned out to ended up being a tenant of his. He took her in. She had nowhere to go, and she's a lovely person. Worked out. She became a tenant, and they're good friends. She's been there for a couple of years now.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah,
Well, they work it out, don't they?
they sure do, and it's amazing that they're like that.
Uh-huh.
Kids. It's good that they. Well, anyway,
Anyway, so
we're lucky.
so kind of continuing from where you were last time,
Yeah.
I want to really take us into twisting.
Okay.
And it probably will be helpful when you get back because one of the things that made a huge difference for me when I was learning twisting was with Bill Ryan, um, was being able to feel the difference in his arm of what it was like for him to just use his muscles to rotate his arm and when he twisted his arm. And it's a it's a very different feeling.
Yeah.
And so we can't do that on Zoom, but we can do it when
Oh.
you get back here.
All right. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So twisting is really important
Yeah.
because it is one of the major ways that in Tai Chi, Bagua, Xing Yi, Qigong, all of the internal arts, that energy is moved effectively throughout the entire body. And part of it is that you are working with the connection between the etheric body, which is the energy body that surrounds you, what we call the aura in the West, which can vary from a few inches to many, many, many feet. And also extends inside the body. So one of the things to remember about the energy bodies is that not only do they go outside of the physical body, but they also connect and are present within the physical body. So twisting is different from turning or rotating, which is the first stage. And the next stage after twisting is spiraling, which we're probably not likely to really get to. I don't know. We might at some point. But twisting doesn't, while it is focused primarily on using mind, intent, and the energy, the chi, to turn an arm or a leg or parts of the body, it is very different from rotating them physically. One of the images that Bruce likes to use is that rotating is very similar when you have a wet towel to just taking that towel and stretching it out to try to wring it out. But when you twist it, then you get all the fluids in there to move. And the same thing happens when you cause the soft tissues of the body to twist, is that they begin to cause the blood and the lymph and all of the fluids in the body to move more effectively, as well as moving the energy. So twisting doesn't mean that there is no physical movement. Sometimes I've seen people think, oh, twisting means that everything remains still except the soft tissue, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, the fascia moves around the bones without. No, that's not what happens. The twisting actually causes the muscles to move so that when you look at, actually, if I were to turn sideways here, if I were to simply rotate my arm with the muscles, it just turns. If I twist it, if I am twisting, it doesn't mean that there is less movement. It means that the way that the movement occurs is different. And when we think of twisting, we always relate, when we talk about direction, we're always relating it to the center line of the body. So you either twist in towards the center line or you twist out away from the center line. Twisting inward draws energy in to the body, and twisting outward sends energy out of the body. And one of the really important connections of that, when you really get twisting established, is that that goes right into the internal organs. And you, therefore, are bringing fresh energy into the internal organs and taking used energy out of the internal organs. When you think of the legs, they're attached at the hips and usually at the ground. And therefore, they can only twist in one way, in towards the center line and out away. However, when we look at the arms are tricky. because the arms have a whole lot more flexibility and they're only attached at one end. And therefore, you have to be clear in your mind, particularly because you're using mind intent to twist, but also which edge of the arm you are focusing on as the edge that is leading the movement at the time. It switches a lot. So in other words, you can look at the little finger edge of the arm and think of it twisting in and twisting out. So my little finger moves towards the center of my body, moves away from the center of my body. But if you focus on the thumb edge, the thumb can twist in to the center line and twist out away from the center line. So both of those are possible, and you have to be really clear up here which one you're using.
Yeah, because they're kind of opposite. I mean, when one's twisting in, the other's twisting out.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, and both are possible. I mean, you're not going to do both at the same time in the same arm. You can do both at the same time in different arms, but not in the same arm.
Okay, all right.
So, any questions up to this point? Some of this I'm sure you've heard before.
Well, I'm not sure I have heard it quite like this before, at least the way I'm thinking about it now.
Yeah.
Well, let's continue on. No,
okay.
I wouldn't know what to ask right now.
Okay. So clearly, if you are using the energy and mind intent to twist the arm, where was I going with that sentence?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Wait a minute. I was on the way to a good thought there.
I'm sure you were.
And I went off into another one.
That's all right.
It'll come back.
Sure.
So the easy place to begin to work with this is with the dynamic sphere, because it's a nice basic movement that we don't have to think about where we're going with the movement. We know the physical movement.
Right.
It's clear. I know what I was starting to say.
Okay.
Is because you are using mind intent and awareness and feeling and the energy to move a part of the arm or the entire arm, you have to link that to lengthening, because since it is not just a physical movement of the muscles, you have to release in order to be able to twist. You also have to release in order to be able to really feel. And actually, it's kind of good to think about feeling as the first step, because if you can't feel a part of your body, you won't be able to feel the twisting in it. So with an arm, we usually start by breaking it down. We just think about the hand, and you want to focus on the middle finger. We talked about the middle finger last week. It's a really good way to create a center line in your arm, in effect. So if you think about establishing your middle finger as the middle of the twisting in your hand, and then you just focus on what's happening from fingertips to wrist. And you're just releasing the muscles, feeling that hand, and letting your mind, intent, and energy turn the hand. And one of the things you may begin to feel, because twisting in is drawing energy in, you feel that on the yin side, the inside of the arm. And when you twist out, and you're sending energy out, it's going out the yang side. So you're not trying to feel both sides of the arm at once, but really feeling what's happening on the side that you're focusing on.
Well, I do feel something. It seems to stop at the wrist.
That's because we just said that.
Okay.
Well, mind intent is really pretty incredible. If you decide that something is going to stop at the wrist, it'll stop at the wrist. It doesn't actually end at the wrist. You stop feeling it at the wrist.
Okay.
Because, of course, the energy is always constantly moving everywhere in your body, or you wouldn't be sitting there telling me about your wonderful son.
Okay.
So just playing with the hands is the first step. The second one really is to think about extending the elbow a little bit and then focusing from the fingertips to the elbow. And it's kind of important in playing with this. This is something you can do, you don't have to have a big practice time. You just 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. But play with it thinking about, let's see, I'm going to focus on the thumb edge for a while. So the thumb edge is twisting in, and the thumb edge is twisting out, and it's going all the way to my elbow. And then keeping that elbow connection, you work on going from fingertips to shoulder, fingertips to scapula, fingertips to spine, and you just work your way up the arm, gradually increasing what you're feeling as you go along, hopefully.
Right?
And that can take days, weeks, months, who knows? But it's what I found in my own practice was that while, yeah, I worked on twisting in other movements, doing some of this now and then for a long time, and I don't even remember how long it was at this point, really helps me to be very clear about it. And it's important to be clear about it in the arms before you try to do the legs or the torso, because actually the entire body is twisting eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So this is certainly one of the basic things that Master Joe was trying to get us to discover here in the Eight Gates, since he was one of the greatest proponents of being aware of not only twisting, but eventually the spiraling of the energy in the body. Because that really is how you create power. So, the nice thing about the dynamic sphere is there are about a dozen different ways to do it. We've only played with one. But within that one, the edge that you are focusing on switches when you go through the center of the S curve. So let me demonstrate what I mean by that. Maybe let's. So when you begin, you're twisting the thumb edge in to begin. And then you're twisting the thumb edge out, and it continues out until you get to the center of the S curve, when the little finger edge begins to twist in and then twist out. And the little finger edge continues twisting out all the way around to the end. When the thumb edge twists in on the other side and then goes out, little finger edge takes over, goes out, and twists in. So those ins and outs are the same thing as the bending and stretching, which of course is continuing, and the lengthening is continuing. Now we're just really focusing on adding the twisting to those elements. And we worked on this in terms of just rotating the arm, making sure that we were turning the arm the right way as a muscular movement. But now, when you begin and you start to twist, you have to release and allow the mind and the energy to take over, so that the twisting that's occurring is not simply muscular. As you do this, remember that concept of the middle finger, so allowing that arm, and maybe you're only focusing on up to the wrist at the moment, but let it actually pivot around the center line in the arm, running from the point of the middle finger actually all the way to your spine. But you don't have to start with thinking about that quite that far. So one of the things is to be sure that you use your mind to be aware that it starts with the thumb edge and then goes to the little finger edge, leading the movement. Okay. So does that feel any different?
I could feel it's kind of confusing what I'm feeling. Uh,
Yes.
I know something's going on there.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I do feel I have to concentrate more on intent. I I got I'm getting jumbled because as I'm coming up, I'm thinking about the arm going away, and then as I go through the center, the arm coming in, and then that's part of it too.
That is
Uh,
part of it, but that is probably something you don't have to think about at this point.
oh great, oh great, okay.
Um, hopefully that's the case. um, because that was what I was saying as I was speaking about the practice of this is that if you have to think about bending and stretching, then don't think about twisting until you can do the bending and stretching to the point where you don't have to think about it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
You cannot add a new element if you can't do the old elements without thinking about them.
Okay.
That's the principle of separate and then combine. You learn separately, you learn a new element, then you combine it with what you already know.
Okay.
Then you learn another new element and you then combine that. Because you can't learn even two new elements at the same time equally. You actually end up not learning either of them very well.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying there?
I sure do. Yep. Yeah, I do. That's why it felt so funny.
Hmm.
Okay.
So practice is really important.
Again?
Again, I just have to mention it because
Okay.
it unfortunately, no matter how bright we are or how skilled we are in other areas, it is practice that makes the difference.
Yes. I'm beginning to realize that, David.
It takes us all a while, Bill.
Yeah.
I I have to laugh when I say that because I look back to my first 3 or 4 years of Tai Chi, and um, I had those weeks when I didn't do any or almost no practice between classes, and
Yeah.
then wondered why I couldn't do it.
Uh, yes.
So it takes a while, but eventually you learn that if you don't do it, it it ain't going to happen.
Yeah. All right.
So um, that's as far as I really want to take the twisting at the moment.
Okay.
I don't want to look at it in the other practices because it gets really confusing. So until the dynamic sphere is relatively clear, um, so do you have any other questions about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, okay. We're going up like this,
Hmm.
and I feel like the little finger is leading.
But it's not,
And as we, why not?
because if you if you think about it, what's happening is the little finger is rotating towards the center of the body, which is drawing energy in. And that's not what you're doing when you go up. When you go from the bottom to the top, you're sending energy out. So it has to be the whatever edge is rotating away from the center line of your body.
I'm not getting that.
Well, if you take your hand like like this, palm down,
Yeah.
which is what you get to at the top.
Yeah.
Um, what you've done is you have twisted because you started here, okay?
Right.
If you
Yeah.
remember, we started really twisted.
Yeah.
Thumb is rotating away from the center line of the body
Yes.
as you go up and out.
Yes.
And then it begins coming in because it's twisting in. And then the little finger edge takes over and continues twisting in. And now the little finger, as you go out, the little finger edge is going out in this part of the circle because you're sending
Yeah.
energy out. And now the little finger edge is twisting in as you draw the energy back in.
Okay.
Now,
Now,
it's a
in
little, oh, go ahead.
in my mind, I want to be able to say which either the thumb or the little finger is leading.
Yes.
And I guess I haven't gotten that yet.
So this would be easier if all you did was you started here and just twisted like this. But Master Joe felt we were bright enough to go to a little more complex pattern than that.
Oh, he did he?
Something that was a little more meaningful than that.
Okay.
So he started us here,
Yeah.
and the thumb is twisting away from the center line of the body.
Yeah.
And after it gets past that top point, it begins twisting in to the center line of the body.
Right.
And now the little finger edge twists in to the center line. And then it twists out away from the center line, going up to the top. And then it's going to twist in, coming down to the bottom. And the way to think about that is to remember which way the energy's moving. So
Okay. When you're first coming up and your arm is moving away from the body,
the energy's going out.
out. See, my thinking is right there, that little finger is leading because it's first, but that's not the way to think about it.
No, it isn't, is it?
Okay, how should I be thinking?
So when we began learning this pattern, we
Yeah,
we talked about it in terms of the little finger edge leading and then the thumb edge leading, right?
yeah,
That was to help us learn that it reversed in the middle. But that was simply talking about the physical movement. In the physical movement, if you're just thinking about the physical movement, yes, the little finger edge is leading, and now the thumb edge is leading the physical movement. It's going first. No question. No question. I won't argue about that. But we're not talking about the physical movement. We're talking about twisting. We're talking about how the energy is moving.
okay,
Okay?
yeah,
So actually the edge of the arm that we are um, being aware of is the opposite of the physical movement.
What do you mean?
Oh, well, if if the physical movement of the first part is led by the little finger, right?
Yeah,
But if you look at that movement, um, it is twisting in to the body, to the center line. So it's
yeah,
pulling energy in. If you focus on the little finger edge energetically, that's not what's happening when you send energy out. It's going outward. So you have to go to the other edge, the edge that is twisting out, which is the thumb edge.
all right.
Do you
And well, um, I hear what you're saying. Oh my goodness. I just have to
you have to feel, not think.
oh, I'm concentrating on thinking.
Yep. And yeah, you have to, some thinking is necessary in the beginning of any part of our practice. I'm not going to argue about that, but if you get stuck with the thinking, you won't feel.
Well, guess what, David? I've been doing that for 20 years.
Well,
I think it's time to
it's
change.
time to change.
Yes.
So, for one thing, practicing with your just your wrist and hand and thinking about this, that when that thumb goes out, it's sending energy out. When it comes in, it's drawing energy in. And that's what you want to feel. So when you start, when you go to do the dynamic sphere, the first thing that happens is that the right arm twists in, the thumb edge turns towards the center line of the body. It draws energy in, and then it sends energy out. And then it begins to draw it in, switches to the little finger edge, continuing to draw it in, and then sending it out and drawing it back in. So you have to be clear about the fact that from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, the energy is going out. From 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, it's coming in. From 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, it's going out. And from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, it's coming in. So
Say
you,
that again.
what?
Say that again.
So when you start, you're drawing energy in.
Yeah.
Then from 6 to 12, you're sending energy out. From 12 to 6, you're drawing energy in. From 6 to 12, you're sending energy out. And from 12 to 6, you're bringing energy back in again.
Okay. Now, energy out is on the outside of your arm,
Right?
and energy in is on the inside.
Right.
Okay, so 6 to 12 is out, 12 to 6 is in, and 6 to 12 is out, and then in.
Yep.
Okay, all right. I'm going to buy that, which is a damn good start.
Well, good. So you begin to understand why I'm not going to take this into anything else at the moment.
I I wholly agree.
it's it's just a next stage. Um, After a while, it'll just seem like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I understand that. But I understand what you're saying too. There is a little confusion there in the beginning, um, because of the fact that the physical movement is so clearly led by one edge, but the energetic is created by the opposite.
yes.
Somehow I feel you don't really believe that, but
Well, no, I do. I just have to convince myself that that's the way it's going. I love that dynamic sphere anyway.
oh yeah. Well, it's when I said there are a dozen ways to do this. There really are. I mean, I'm not just saying that to be uh,
Be
randomly.
cruel,
What?
to be cruel.
To be cruel? No.
You're telling me that there's like 12 ways of doing that?
Well, yeah. I mean, to begin with, there are four planes of movement that you can do this in.
Okay. Oh,
So this is the
yeah,
vertical.
yeah, yeah,
In bow stance, you can do it on a horizontal,
yes,
and the twisting becomes very minor in that.
yeah, yes.
There is the diagonal where the 6 o'clock is over here and 12 o'clock is here. It's not up and down.
Okay.
It's here. So now that becomes a different, slightly different pattern.
Yeah,
Um, you can you can do the pattern that we do in a bow stance, and you do it. You can go into a walk, but just keeping it in a bow stance, you can go forward from 6 to 12 and back and forward and back. Or you can start forward and go back to 12, forward to 6, back to 12, and forward to 6. So that's just a few of the ways.
Well, I'm kind of glad I asked. I do remember you talking about that before and showing us.
Yeah.
That was a lot of years ago.
And then there are walking versions, and
Yeah.
and actually there's in this just the standing basic practice, in Mujibu, you can start it at any of the 8 positions.
Oh.
So it can start at 6 o'clock, it can start at 9, it can start at 10:30, it can start at 1.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat. I do the simple version that we do first is just starting in four positions. When you do 8, it gets pretty complex. But that's what you're doing when you do Tai Chi.
Yeah.
So it's it's fun.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Practice.
This has been a great session.
Good.
Yeah, wow, I really feel good about this.
Good. Well, so are you back for the Tuesday class next week?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we owe you money, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we do.
That's all
Yeah.
right. No big
We were going to send it, but we didn't have your address.
no problem.
That was our excuse, at least.
Well, that'll do.
Okay.
By the way, I should warn you.
Yeah.
um, Jane has been having quite a bit of trouble with her back. And part of the problem, unfortunately, has been your lovely car.
Oh.
So she is getting another car.
Oh, I can feel that poor red car weeping.
Well, I think it's weeping. I'm not sure.
Well, I hope it was
Well,
worthwhile for
I
you
can't,
guys to have that.
Bill, I can't tell you how much help it was. That was a
Good.
lifesaver at that time.
Good.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Okay.
It you just really saved us at that moment.
I'm glad to hear that.
And we have just been so, I don't know, I think I feel honored that you felt that you wanted to help us the way you did. That was beyond friendship.
Well, apparently, David, you and Jane mean a lot to us.
Well, believe me, we feel that. And
Good.
and you mean a lot to us. And
Good.
But I thought maybe I should warn you about the car, but we would not well, Jane's doing it because I'm not driving. She's the one she has to do all the driving. So
Right. Yeah.
uh, she just has to have something that's more comfortable.
Okay. Is she going to be able to find something?
Yeah, she's getting an Outback.
Okay.
She had,
That's a Subaru.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 No, they're a good car.
she had one for several years,
Yeah.
or we did, and it was a great car. And she really liked that and was very comfortable in that car. So this is a much newer one. This is a 2020, I think we're getting. But anyway, so I just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah. I'm glad you did. I
I didn't want you to drive in and say,
have a heart attack.
yeah,
My heart's not that good, David, you know.
I'm sympathetic to that.
Yes, you are. All right.
Bill, give my best to Jean.
All right. And mine to Jane. I hope that it works out.
I I think it will. I hope so.
Good. Good.
You enjoy your last week,
All right. And we will see you Tuesday.
but a week from tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
We'll be looking forward to it.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.